Hey, everybody. How are you? Mary Welter here. Welcome to the podcast. James is MIA, so I'm going to try to invite him again. He said he didn't get the invite because I've been sitting here waiting for him. So I'm going to try it one more time. And what would it be if we did not have some kind of technical difficulty to start with, because that's what we do. I did send it to him. Send again. Okay. Sending it again to James and see what happens. Okay. All right, let me just tell him. I'm going to send it to him again. Resend. Because every time we start the show, if you're here early, there's always some kind of technical issue in the beginning of the show. Because I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I've got it down rote. Hold on. What, honey? What's the problem? See, and here we go. There's another one. Here comes my IT department. Yes, dear. I'm on the wrong mic. Okay. So maybe I was on the right mic before. This one was where it was. Go to here? No? So which mic would you like me to use?
Which one do you use?
That's where I just was. And you said it's the wrong mic.
You sound like crap.
Oh, I always sound like crap. Let me try this one, see if it's better. Here. Is that one better? Oh, okay, wait a minute. There's a delay. This is why I am never going to be an influencer, because of this stuff. That's no better, right? Here we go. There's always a problem with my mic and the input for some reason. I don't know why. But there always is, every time. And there's James finally showing up, a day late and a dollar short.
See how he sounds.
Okay, let me see how he sounds. He's still fixing his camera, because why would that be set up early? Hold on, get to stream. James, are you there? Oh, no, he's still fixing his camera. Maybe we should just try this tomorrow night if the way this is going. James, seriously, you're just setting your stuff up.
Wait, Wait, why am I gone?
Your mic is on, but you're just setting it up now.
Now I can't hear anything. Hold on. What's
going
on here?
I'm just going to end this and just try this tomorrow, because this is not working. James is gone now. All right, you know what? We're going to try this again another night, because James was supposed to be, was at the studio at 6:30. He can't get his stream going. My audio's not working. So we'll try this again another night, because this isn't happening. What? What do you want to do?
Let's just fix it.
I'm not doing it tomorrow.
What do you need to?
Here. Pick a different one. That's camera.
That's camera. Stay on the camera.
Can you hear me?
Back to audio.
Yes, James.
You can hear me.
There you go. That one?
Yeah.
Try that one. How's that? Is that better? Okay. Is that better? I'm like so done right now. How's that? Okay. Finally figured out my microphone. Every single show we go through, every single time. James was actually at the studio at 6:30 and waited until 7:20 to set up his camera. I'm like really ready to walk out right now. Like seriously.
Okay, this is weird.
And now his stuff's not working. So okay. He didn't set his stuff up earlier. He was there at 6:30 and didn't set it up. So I'm just gonna unshare him.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more thing.
All right, James. I unshare. I'm done. Okay. Okay. No, James. Finally got the audio down, because we have to spend the first 5 minutes of every podcast trying to figure out technical issues. I apologize for that. I know it's not a fun thing to start a show with. So let's start again, shall we? Hi, I am Mary Welter. This is the podcast. I have no idea where James is, but if you've watched this often enough, you know that James does everything at the last minute and he's always unprepared. Not that I should talk because of the audio, but because of my microphone, but I thought I had fixed my microphone before I started all of this, and apparently it was not on the right one. So I'm going to go flog my IT department later. Let's see if James is ready. There you are.
Now I'm here, and now everything's working. Yeah. I don't know why it wasn't working, or why. I know I wasn't getting your other thing, but
right.
I was depending on the internet.
Wasn't working. But my question to you is, you were at the. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now we're good. Go ahead.
My question to you is, You were at the radio station at 6:30. Why did you wait to 7:20 to set up your stuff?
Well, I have to use my phone to get your stuff, so
Yeah.
yeah, and then it goes all the way back here to start. But that shouldn't be so hard. Normally,
Well, you were late.
I just wasn't hearing you. I wasn't getting your thing at all. I'm
You were
like,
also
huh.
late. You were late. You were late. You were late. You were late. You should have been in the seat at 7 o'clock. You were late.
Hi.
All right. Let's try this again. So I do want to. I had, I'm having like a boatload of problems today. Like I said, this is just not a good
Me
day
too.
at all.
Me too.
But you were at the station at 6:30.
I was.
You know, you had more than enough time to set it up. But so I go upstairs, I do all my show prep because that's what I do today. I do all my show prep. And I make notes when I get these stories because I cull stories from a lot of different places because I want to do news that you probably haven't heard, but I think is newsworthy that I think people would be interested in. So I
Right.
do it and I go downstairs. I go downstairs to have dinner, and I leave my paperwork upstairs. Now Oliver was on the bed. He was
Okay.
sleeping there because when I sit in bed and I ice my knee, my leg, he likes to sit on me and he likes to go to sleep there. So I got up and I left him there. I go upstairs to get my paperwork and look what I found. This is unbelievable. Here, where is it? Come on. Why is it not coming up? Oh wait, I know why. Hold on. I know what I did wrong. I had to do this. I had to double click on it. There we go. Share screen. There we go. Can you see that?
Oh. Oh no.
And see, because we were out on the porch, was it last week or the week before that we were talking about the fabric samples, about like this
Last
and the other
week.
stuff? Was last week? Do you know they
Yeah.
came today?
Wow.
I know.
Oh, that's only the bright one, right? Not the green one.
It's only this. The other stuff's
Yeah,
back ordered. This
pattern,
this
yeah.
is back ordered. I haven't opened them yet, but this is back ordered. So we went out on the porch to go do. I had to water some plants, and I can't do it because I'm on crutches with my knee in the brace and everything. And so I walk around when my husband does it, and I supervise. So Oliver wanted to come out with us. Now Oliver is our plant eater. We cannot have plants. Like if you send me flowers, I have to put them in the bathroom on the first floor and close the door because he will eat the flowers and he knocks over the vase in the process. Water goes everywhere. He breaks the vase. It's just a mess. So my husband says, well, can we let Oliver out on the porch with us? I'm like, okay, but you gotta watch him, right? Wasn't watching, and he ate a plant. Look at, and so he just goes up now. In between my audio not working, you being late, all this stuff's going on, and my husband goes upstairs. He goes, I'm gonna take the comforter. I'm just gonna put it in the wash. I said, okay, great. So he goes to do that, and as he picks it up, my pajamas are on the bed. My pajamas, he picks them up. He had puked on them too.
Oh.
So the man's got puke on there, puke on his head, puke on my pajamas, and then he's running around going, "Your audio's wrong. Your audio's wrong. You're nowhere to be found." I was just like, "Oh, this is going to be one of those deals that maybe we should just call it a day and be done with it." And that's that. So I have my papers, but look.
Nice. Yeah, they're different.
And it went through several layers. So my husband took the papers, and I could hear him. He's like, "Oh God, what am I?" Because it must have sat, so it seeped through several layers. So we have a big, huge stove that we heat the house with in our living room, which is the next room right over there. He took them and put them on top of the stove to dry them.
Oh, that had to be a smell. Oh.
And he sprayed them with Lysol first.
Oh, that's good.
Before
Yeah,
he put them on to get the smell.
That's the move. Yeah. He's wise. That is the move. I like that.
Oh my God! So what a day! What a day!
I'm with you. What a couple days.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have some stories. I didn't get to talk to you before the show because you weren't here. So I guess you have stories we'll share at the end of the show, end of the news.
Sure.
What do you think? Okay.
Maybe the end of news. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you start. I'm gonna change my cup. Go ahead. I'm listening.
No. Yeah, go. You do you. So he's gonna disappear. He'll be back. And so what I like to do in the show, if you're new, first of all, it doesn't always start like, no, that's not true. The first 5 minutes of the show are technical nightmares every single time without fail. So I can't afford staff. So my IT department is my husband. And as I just said, he was kind of preoccupied with cat puke. So there was that. So what I try to do is I go to a lot of different sources and I try to find stories that I think are interesting, that are news. But unless you catch it on Fox or Newsmax or OAN, unless you catch it on one of those news channels, or you happen to read it on a website of like the Federalist or American Thinker or Newsmax or one of those, you're not going to see it. Epic Times is a great one. You're not going to see it. So because the propaganda arm of the DNC with ABC, NBC, CBS, Newsmax, MSNBC, CNN, those stations aren't reporting this stuff. So some of them you may have heard, but I think there are going to be quite a few here that you will have not heard. So I want to start off with one that was getting a lot of coverage, I noticed, on Newsmax and Fox. Oh, this is a story. Hold on, that's a story about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Kim DePaulo says Teresa Giudice is an animal.
Whoa.
And this is an update. You still covered in puke?
Did you start getting?
I did start Getter, yes.
I just can't find it.
Okay, thank you. My husband can never find me on social media. It's like he can't find me on Getter. Usually can't find me on Facebook. Now he can't find because he does no social media at all. Period. End of story. So he doesn't know how to work it. And I mean, and he's really super smart when it comes to technology and stuff like that because it's not even his job. But ask him to navigate Facebook or Getter or Twitter. The man is lost. Can't do it. It just doesn't make logical sense to him. So he's out. Okay. So there's an update to the story. So I'm reading off my phone. So there were two guys in Washington, D.C., and today they were arraigned on charges of false impersonation of a federal officer in the U.S. District Court in D.C. Aryan Taherzada and Hyder Ali were both arrested on Wednesday at this luxury apartment building in the Navy Yard in DC. Now, these are all new areas. The Navy Yard used to be a dump, and then they revitalized it. AOC has an apartment in one of these beautiful apartment buildings with a doorman to keep the riffraff out, and a parking garage for her Tesla and all that kind of stuff. Oh. So there's a lot of people who live in the Navy Yard. It's very, very she. During the arraignment today, the judge approved Taherzada's and Ali's requests for a court-appointed attorney after he reviewed their financial affidavits. Ali said, "I don't have any money." Remember that. He said, "I don't have any money."
Okay. No money.
Are you familiar with this story, James?
A little bit, yep.
A little bit, okay. So federal prosecutors said that the FBI executed a search warrant Wednesday for 5 apartment units, 3 vehicles, all in relation to this case. They found multiple firearms, law enforcement equipment, servers, and hard drives, none of them apparently belonging to Hillary Clinton that we know of, or Hunter Biden. Okay. DHS and Naval Criminal Investigation Service training manuals were also found.
Uh-oh.
A detention hearing is going to take place tomorrow for both the men. They're being held until tomorrow to the hearing. They're getting a much speedier trial than the Americans in connection with January 6th, who are still sitting in jail over a year later. A binder with a list of every resident at the apartment complex was also found. While executing the search warrant, prosecutors say that Ali's passport shows 2 Pakistani and Iranian visas. The federal prosecutors also alleged that Ali told 2 witnesses that he has some type of connection with the Pakistani intelligence service, the Inter-Services Intelligence. Ali also allegedly made multiple trips to Doha or Qatar since 2019. During the hearing today, prosecutors also alleged that Taherzada admitted to deleting social media accounts once he found out about the federal investigation. They are both U.S. citizens, according to prosecutors. The 2 men are accused of falsely posing as employees of the Department of Homeland Security who worked on a special task force related to the January 6th Capitol riot. Prosecutors allege that they posed as law enforcement officers in an attempt to integrate with legitimate federal agents. This is all Fox reporting. One of the people who was given gifts by one of the two men previously worked on the First Lady's security detail, Jill Biden. The prosecutors also allege that Taherzadeh and Ali obtained firearms, which include handguns and assault rifles, which I don't know what an assault rifle is. What is an assault rifle? There's no such thing. That's dumb.
I mean, I think we know where they're headed here, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But that are used by federal law enforcement agencies. So the same.
They're probably talking, yeah, an AR-15 or something, I'm sure.
Taherzadeh provided members of the U.S. Secret Service with rent-free apartments, iPhones, surveillance systems, a drone, a flat-screen TV, storage for an assault rifle, and more, according to prosecutors. Now, but we're supposed to believe, based on their financial statements, that they don't have any money. Apartments in this building cost you like 40 grand a year, at least the ones that he supposedly gave them, but rent-free apartments. The apartments provided had a value of over $40,000 per unit and also offered Secret Service agents the use of official government vehicles. Taherzadeh allegedly made an offer to purchase an assault rifle valued at $2,000 for a Secret Service agent who was signed to Jill Biden's security detail, First Lady. One Secret Service agent was provided with a rent-free 3-bedroom apartment by Taherzadeh valued at almost $50,000. The Secret Service agent stayed in the apartment from February 21 to January 22. 4 members of the Secret Service were placed on administrative leave as a result of the investigation. Now, so a lot of questions there, right? Like, don't you think the Secret Service agent should be wondering, why are they giving me a free apartment in this building? Why? Where are the flats? Why are they giving me a flat screen TV? How are these guys getting official government vehicles? These two guys. This doesn't make sense.
Well, they might be really nice. I mean,
So this started with an investigation by the United States Postal Inspector, who arrived at the apartment complex to investigate an alleged assault that involved a United States Postal Service carrier. So that's how this all started. But
so the shady, maybe ISI guys who are in town on what could be either nefarious reasons or working for the Secret Service / some other, lettered government agency might now be assaulting a post office worker.
Well, I don't think that they were being accused of the assault. They found out about it because the residents in the apartment complex, when they were being, interviewed about, hey, Oliver, stop that. Hey, he's scratching a chair.
A lot of characters on the show.
So when they went to go interview the residents about this assault, they were talking to them, and the residents told the inspectors that these two guys, they have video surveillance throughout the apartment complex, so you can ask them for video surveillance.
That's an even crazier way to get. Oh yeah. It's another way you get caught. Yeah, okay, got it.
And they also told the United States.
So they're not dumb.
Inspectors that they believe that these guys also had access to the personal information of everybody in the building, and because the men told them, a lot of the residents, that they could access their cell phones.
So they're acting as if they work for the government anyway. So they're saying like, there's information on you anyway.
But here's the thing. Someone who's a real spook who works for the government, they're not telling you that stuff. It's like someone who's in the mob never tells you they're in the mob. Right.
I have a buddy who, is a subcontractor for the NSA. And I know he deals in code. That's about as much as I know about his job for the entirety that I've known that he's worked for them. I know he's moved up. He used to actually work for the NSA. I know he got a promotion by going through now Lockheed Martin. But I don't know anything about his job, his work, what he does. He doesn't tell me. And I've known him for years. I know he's got clearances out the yin yang. I don't know what they entail or the details of how the clearances work. He's never told me a thing. Nothing. He's never said like, "Hey man, I can look up something for you and find out like what you're." Nothing. Not one word. I don't know if he's.
So,
Yep. Nothing.
the United States Postal Inspector gave the info to the Department of Homeland Security, Office of the Inspector General, and it was then referred to the FBI. Prosecutors allege that Taherzadeh identified himself as a Department of Homeland Security Investigations special agent. He told us this to a Secret Service agent who's currently assigned to the First Lady's protocol detail. And Ali identified himself as a Homeland Security Investigations analyst. And in an attempt to prove they were, Taherzadeh took a picture of himself in a DHS Investigations vest and has his name on it and everything. And the Secret Service agent also allegedly saw multiple pictures of Taherzadeh in police tactical gear. He also texted the Secret Service agent a picture from which he said was supposedly from training, but it was actually pulled from a DHS social media post. Here's the thing. How do these guys have the cell phone numbers of Secret Service agents so that they can text them?
Because they definitely work for somebody.
Especially those Secret Service detail for the First Lady. How do you get that number?
They definitely work for somebody. No doubt. I
Right?
don't know who. I'm not going to pretend to know for who or how, but no doubt they work for somebody.
Another witness who's also a member of the Secret Service said that Taherzadeh has access to all floors of the apartment, the building, access to all the floors, including some restricted areas. He was able to get the access by speaking with the apartment complex's management and identifying himself as a federal agent. They could have had listening equipment and were listening to, what, I don't know, AOC was talking about or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see. Taherzadeh allegedly controls a limited liability company titled United Special Police LLC, described as a private law enforcement, investigative, and protective service based in Washington, D.C. So that's all courtesy of Fox News. Fox News. So.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on there.
Isn't that wild, though?
That is wild. Yeah. Can you imagine that?
I know. But, I'll tell you.
That's a strange relationship, America and Pakistan, the ISI, and how the ISI relates to its own government. That whole thing is a very strange relationship we had.
And Iran.
And Iran, yeah.
They have visas to Iran and Pakistan.
Yeah. So. And just ISI's ties to Russia. ISI's ties to us. Their ties to the Taliban. Their ties to. It's a very complex web there. Yep. A real interesting situation.
It is. Okay. Did you hear about this? There's a church in Chicago. So, in the 40 days leading up to Easter, Christians call Lent. Yep. And, you're supposed to give something up. And I kind of thought that was just a Catholic thing, but I guess other denominations do it as well. And you fast. If you're Catholic, you fast, and you don't eat meat on Fridays during Lent. And some Wednesdays you also, too. I'm sorry?
Some strict Catholics even don't do it on Wednesdays, too.
Well, Ash Wednesday is a day of fast and abstinence. So you have one meal and you don't eat meat. The other Fridays during Lent are no meat, so abstinence. Good Friday is fasting and abstinence. So one meal and no meat on Good Friday.
Yes.
It's actually quite easy. It's really not that big of a deal. It's not that hard. So anyway, there's a church in Chicago that told its congregation that they will not be performing any music written by or associated with white people during the season of Lent. I don't know. I mean, they're not Catholic, so maybe I don't understand their religion, but doesn't that kind of go against the whole spirit of Lent?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think it sort of kind of goes against the whole spirit of Christianity on some level.
It's the First United Church of Oak Park, Illinois. In our worship services throughout Lent, we will not be using any music or liturgy written or composed by white people, according to a post on their webpage. Our music will be drawn from the African American spirituals tradition from South American South African freedom songs from Native American traditions, and many, many more. If they're playing Native American music, then isn't that cultural appropriation?
Well, more, it's not Christian. Wouldn't you just do that something like that during maybe like Black History Month or something like that?
Mm, mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be a time to do something like that?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm missing how that ties into Lent.
yeah. According to an initial report from Turning Point USA, the church put up a sign promoting all of that. Read the post on their webpage. So they put up a sign promoting what now appears to become a racially charged Christian religious season. And the sign said, "This Lent, we will build our worship around the voices of Black people, Indigenous people, and people of color. We are fasting from whiteness."
So, but how is that a sacrifice? How is that? I mean, if there's no money exchange, so it's not like you're putting white artists who make white Christian music out money, and that's the sacrifice is the white artist. So that's not. There's no
I mean,
tie there.
if they really want to make a sacrifice like you're supposed to during the 40 days of Lent to remind you the suffering of Jesus, then they shouldn't drive cars, which were invented by a white man. They probably shouldn't wear jeans, which were first made, denim, and the jeans were first made by a white man. They probably shouldn't do that as well. Right? There's a lot of things they probably should not do or partake in because they were invented by white people. But they
That
clearly
sounds a little
aren't
more
going that
logical.
far. This is just virtue signaling. Let's see. But here's the best part. Their website also claims that the quote opened and inclusive Christian communities claim that they practice and preach inclusion by valuing people of all races, ethnicities, cultural identities, gender identities, sexual orientations, and abilities in every aspect of our congregational life.
Okay.
If we live closer to Chicago, I would ask you to go to church there. Just to see what would happen if you walked in the door.
I would. I'd walk right in.
I know you
Hey,
would.
hi.
That's why I would ask you to do it, because I know you would do it. And that's why I
Oh,
love
yeah.
you.
See, this is why we need a Patreon page. You guys could give us money. You could send me on a flight, and I would stay out there for a couple weeks and go for a couple weeks and film everything.
I think
You
you
know.
only have to go once. You don't need to spend a couple of weeks. You could probably just go
You mean
once and
you
mission
mean what
accomplished.
before they threw? You mean before they threw me out?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you go once before they throw you out, and that's about it. That's just me. Okay,
I'd ask some questions. I had
I
some
know
questions.
here's the thing. You're
Questions.
not a fighter. You would probably just get picked up and thrown out the door.
Oh, no doubt. Come on, I just have questions. I just have questions. I just want to know what.
Out the door you go.
I like everything.
Well, if we can work out our dopey technical issues. Oh my gosh, we have 35 comments. Holy Christmas. Wait a minute. I totally forgot about the comments. Let's go to the
Let's catch
beginning
up.
here. Let's go. Okay. Here we go. Here's Art. Hi, Mary and James. Hello. Audio's
Konnichiwa.
messed up. Got that. Yuck, the audio. Got it. I love the roller coaster ride. You have bad audio. And when
You're
I
all
was
in
saying,
for
that's
the.
it. When I
You're
was
all
like,
in, huh?
that's it. We're doing this. That's it. We're doing this tomorrow. Mark, no. Same as last time. Now it's fixed. Keith, yes. Much better. Thank you. Fixed. Thank you. Your audio is buzzy. I hear James. Okay. Okay. It's now okay.
Oh, you heard me. Oh, that's weird. I couldn't
Stop
hear
it. I could hear you. You couldn't hear me. Talk, Mary. Hi. Turn his feed down. I could do
me.
that.
Oh,
Can I please just hand you a nice glass of chilled Chardonnay? Oh my God, I could do bourbon right now. I can't drink.
Ooh.
I'm allergic to wine. I can't drink wine.
No,
But
I could
thank
do
you.
some
I
bourbon.
appreciate that. Huh?
or some German beer.
I could do beer.
I could do a Berliner Weiss.
I think we have Yingling on tap. It's either that or
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Blue Moon. I'm not sure.
I love you.
Tech genius. Mark, thank you. I appreciate the sarcasm. I can't unsee that. Yuck. Oliver's pew. Thanks for sharing. Here's my sister-in-law. I just sent catnip. I was able to get in through Chrome on my mobile device, but not the Facebook app. That's the Facebook app. It didn't work for me anyway. Okay, so all is perfect. Normal life. What could Amber AP? We could have Amber on the podcast, you know. She would come on.
Oh, that'd be good.
A big coyote as big as a German Shepherd just now earlier ran across the road in front of us into a big field. I have heard they migrated around place. Well, all right, Scott. Scott just chiming in there with some local facts.
I'll take it.
I got here 2 minutes early, but I didn't see my greeting. Yeah, because we were doing other stuff. So again, one man show here. I'm chief cook and bottle washer. I did not know that was. He told me, Scott. Sickening. I don't think they are seeing our comments. All right, there's a certain.
Yeah, we're seeing them.
Security clearances. I have the text phone number of a Secret Service agent who works out at the health club. You become friends with them. You sit in the whirlpool, the hot tub, the steam room. You lift weights with them. You just get to know them. They're just like regular people too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Fasting became a big deal.
Fasting became a big deal if they took my pancreas out. Oh, Lord.
Huh. Yeah.
It's a religious institution. I can see them doing it. So God preaches racism. Yes, apparently at this church they do. God preaches racism at the, what is the name of this church? In First United Church of Oak Park, Illinois.
Well, in fairness, we did try and throw it on our throat that Jesus was white for what? How many hundreds of years?
But I will say
fascinating
this.
picture.
But everybody says no, Jesus was black. How many?
No. Well, brown.
Right, but I mean, I know a ton of people who are Jewish from Israel. They have black hair, but their skin is very light.
Yeah, Mediterranean-ish, but I mean, he's definitely a Mediterranean-ish looking fella of some form. He's certainly not a Viking.
No,
Yeah.
but again, I also think, Native Americans and the Aztecs and everything saw their God looking like them, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's natural and that's normal for people to envision the God that they worship as someone who reflects them. I think that's just normal.
It's art. Yeah, you don't have to be so offended by it. I get it. it's art, and I'm making a joke, of course, but I mean, realistic.
Well, if someone didn't lose the negatives, we'd have those real genuine pictures, and then we would know.
That's right. Well, sooner or later he'll land on the alien ship, and we'll all be good.
I'll have a conversation with you off the air about that. All right. So we were talking about January 6th, right? So I made a comment about how these guys are getting much more faster justice than anybody who's being held for January 6th. A lot of them being held for over a year. Their lives are ruined.
I feel like you're saying they're being punished.
They are being punished. They're losing everything.
It could just be that the wheels of justice run a little slower in federal court, right?
Well, these two guys are federal court.
I was, maybe I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Okay, so a federal judge, this is again news that you're not going to hear anywhere if you don't search for it. A federal judge found a January 6th defendant who entered the Capitol not guilty on all charges after he said that he was waved in by 2 Capitol police officers. Now, when you see the pictures of what was going on with the breaking of the windows and everything, that was on one side of the Capitol. On the other side of the Capitol, there's video of police, I've seen it, of Capitol police officers holding the doors open. And there's one video of a guy who said to a police officer says, "We're just allowed to go in here." And he says, "I don't agree with it, but yeah."
There's something happened on the other side of the Capitol?
Yeah. So one side, not everything was happening on one side of the Capitol. You come up on the 2 sides, right?
I'm saying nobody even talks about that.
Oh, right. Because
nobody even mentions that. The whole idea is that everything happened in this forced thing through this one.
Right.
And that doesn't get brought up.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. U.S. District Court Judge Trevor McFadden acquitted Matthew Martin of all misdemeanor charges yesterday after he said it was plausible that the defendant reasonably believed he had permission to be in the Capitol. Martin went to D.C. after he saw a tweet from Trump about his rally that he was going to have. So he decided he wanted to go. That's not a crime. That's not a crime. It's not illegal.
Yeah,
Martin
right.
said he entered the Capitol when he was let in by 2 U.S. Capitol police officers who waved him through a doorway. In his testimony, Martin said law enforcement officers did not try to stop him from entering the building. The judge established that Martin's involvement in the event in the Capitol was, quote, minimal and not serious. He also said that video evidence shows that quiet and orderly Martin was merely a silent observer. He's from Santa Fe, New Mexico. He was arrested a year ago in April of 2021. He was charged with entering and remaining in a restricted building, disorderly and disruptive conduct in the restricted building, violent entry and disorderly conduct in the Capitol building, parading. Okay. Doesn't everybody love a good parade, though?
Oh, yeah.
Demonstrating or picketing in a Capitol building. As a result, he lost his job as a senior engineer at a company that does work for the Department of Energy's National Nuclear Security Administration. He was found not guilty on all counts. Now he's just trying to get his life back and trying to build his life again since everything was taken away from him.
Wow.
His lawyer said, we had the benefit of a lot of video evidence and the judge had a chance to see it. And video evidence is the best evidence and he did nothing wrong. Here's what kills me is the federal government has something like 14,000 hours of video from outside the Capitol and inside the Capitol. They refuse to release it. So if you want to get this video, now I guess this guy must have videotaped it on his own, and thank goodness he did, because they won't give anybody the video. The government, when they charged this guy, they were looking at tons and tons and tons of video trying to get people and putting them up on this website. They could also see what those people were doing. They criminally charged this guy with violent entry and disorderly conduct in a Capitol building when clearly that's a lie. But they're doing it to scare people, to try to keep people away from Trump. Trump's toxic. You support him, we will ruin you. That's exactly what the message is. He never should have been charged with those things, but yet he was.
No, it's definitely a big sweeping grant. Just grab them all and we'll figure it out later. That was
Right.
definitely the mentality.
And there's a lot of people who can't afford a lawyer like this guy can, who are pleading guilty just to try to rebuild their lives. And they're pleading guilty to stuff that they didn't do just to try to rebuild their lives. And that's so wrong. It's so wrong. Bill, sorry, I have to have 3 meals a day when I'm working. Don't apologize to me, Bill. If you're not, you do you, okay? I'm not the religion police, okay? A lot of people like themselves around to cohort with. I have no idea what we're talking about here. And I feel really great when President Trump gets reelected. Yes. And we're back to the coyotes. Okay. All right. There we go. One more thing on January 6th. The House of Representatives voted to hold 2 former Trump officials in contempt of Congress following a unanimous recommendation from the Select Committee on January 6th. Peter Navarro, former Trump trade advisor, and his former deputy chief of staff, Dan Scavino, for communications, is now, along with Mark Meadows and Steve Bannon, facing contempt referrals to the DOJ after they defied subpoena orders. They could be charged with a 5-figure fine and a year behind bars. Kevin McCarthy says the Democrats have used January 6th to trample on every civil right and congressional norm. They broke every rule, violated every norm, and bullied every skeptic to hold on to power. Let's be honest, this is a political show trial. I think that that's very true.
In all of these cases, I would rather just see them get something done. It's all such a waste.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Americans overall are done with this whole January 6th thing. Period. Don't you?
Yeah. Oh, whatever.
They're just keeping it going.
The people that really broke the law, the violent. If there was some kind of violence or whatever, then deal with those people. Other than that, and going after the whatever nobody cares about that. The people who really broke the law, get them, make it quick, and go after it. After that, nobody cares. There's no massive conspiracy that everybody's looking for. Nobody cares. What the American people want you to do is get something done. And by the way, that's for all these politicians. We just want you to get something done. We just want you to get something done.
Something that we want them to do, not stuff we don't want them to do.
Roads. bridges. Make sure that the Russians aren't trying to blow up our infrastructure. That's what people are
Yeah.
worried about. Nobody gives a rat's ass. And by the way, I don't want to make it a long thing. It's only because because we've had enough talks. I am not a fan of Trump from long before him being a president. I don't like him as a human. I can't stand the man. But I don't suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I'll call the man for what he does right, and I'll certainly call out for what I think he's done wrong, wherever that leads and wherever it is. But what bugs me, and with any politician, for that matter, is people who can't have rational discussions that way about what people do right or what people do wrong, and then they immediately jump to you when you're like, "Oh, so what? You're just some bleeding heart liberal, or what? Are you just you're just some Nazi Republican?" You just need to shut up. Those people are ruining the country on every level. And this just goes from a discussion I had earlier today, completely unrelated. And I just didn't like how dumb it was that Trump, screamed out publicly that he hoped Putin will throw him some information on Biden, to get Biden or whatever. How just dumb that is in our current. It's the mouth stuff, and we've talked about that, and the running his mouth on Twitter that is what made so many Americans annoyed. A lot of times it wasn't the policies or the things he did right. That's the thing that turned off a lot of Americans, even some Republicans.
I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you. But in my
Right.
world, that's a dumb thing to hate the man for.
Well,
Look at what he accomplished. I would rather, everybody says they want someone to tell them the truth. Donald Trump told them the truth. Donald Trump said it without a filter, and everybody lost their mind. They love Obama, who tells you he's going to call you. If only you sleep with him, he's going to call you the next day, and then he doesn't. But they'd rather that. They'd rather the guy who lies.
But that plays into his ability to be rational. I know a lot of military people and very rational Republicans that very much question how he would have been in a time of crisis. And not that I'm thinking that Biden's the best right now, but I really question how he would have been right now in this. Running his mouth, typing his ass off in Twitter. No general in the world would have felt comfortable with him as commander-in-chief. None of them have said they would have. Nobody would have felt that this. There's some debate there too about that, but that's not my point. Either way, none of this is my point, right? My point is that the people who couldn't have had that simple discussion, that it probably wasn't the smartest move, unless you think it was, say, the smartest move. My point was, the discussion was, oh, obviously you're a stupid liberal. And that's not what the point was. Because again, I've certainly said all the things I thought Trump did right. So I'm not that person. I just don't think, especially with what's going on in the climate, you should be running your mouth about how Putin's smart and that you think I want this, information on Biden now. It doesn't look good for him. Doesn't look good for the country. It just wasn't smart. And that doesn't make me a Trump derangement syndrome. It just makes me have an opinion about something. And if you can't have basic conversation with people, we're doomed. And believe me, liberals are just as bad. I mean, the liberals that if you make one comment about Biden, obviously you're a Trump supporter. And we really have to do better, people. We have to do better. Mary and I can have arguments about Trump for an hour. And at the end of the time, neither of us scream at each other and go, "Oh, you're an awful human. I think you should go away." We go, either we agree, disagree, or and on the same side, or however the discussion ends. But we have discussions like humans and rational adults. We just have discussions. We have to do better, people. You have to do better. That fight with my friend was really ugly.
Are you done?
Yeah, I am.
Hi, Mark. I don't know if that was the discussion or just James going on a rant for about 2 minutes.
I think I deserved a little rant today, because that's what made me really pissed off today, was somebody that I knew that I was like, I can't believe you're this dumb. I won't call him out by name, but I just couldn't believe he was this dumb that he couldn't see a point.
You can tell me later who it is. All right, back to my story. We had it's like we had a musical interlude. It was just James ranting for about 4 minutes. Okay. The panel's subpoena from the January 6th committee, the select committee, have almost entirely targeted entities and individuals with no direct involvement with what happened on Capitol Hill. They've also subpoenaed the Republican National Committee. According to a Federalist analysis, this story is from the Federalist, of the committee's subpoenas to date, fewer than 10% are related to any type of violence. What they're doing, this is about getting Oppo research on Trump and trying to find a crime because they have the man and they want to desperately to find the crime. Southern District of New York failed. Everything they try has failed. They talked about his taxes. They talked about his cheating on his taxes. Nothing. The man is squeaky clean. He's done nothing that they've accused him of. They can't find anything, but they are bound and determined to find the crime because they have the man. And that's what they're doing.
On our dime.
On our dime, exactly. Now, because Republicans weren't allowed to put someone on the committee that they chose, Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let Republicans to do that. That's a first-time thing that's ever happened. Usually the Democrats appoint their people, Republicans appoint theirs. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't allow that. So Representative Jim Banks and Jim Jordan are leading their own investigation into Capitol security failures. They said, we want to find out why did it happen? What failed that allowed that to happen? That's what we should be looking at. The Select Committee has even subpoenaed records from a political consultant operating a political action committee in Wyoming that is running against Liz Cheney, who's one of the Republicans on the committee. That's Oppo research. They're looking at all so that Liz Cheney can get all the opposition research from the PAC, from her opponent. She's the vice chair. Despite no involvement in what happened on January 6th, they still did those subpoenas. Is there any chance I could be in the other screen one day? Sure. We don't care, right, James?
Yeah.
Come on, Morgan. Okay. Republican Representative Troy Niels of Texas serves on the committee that is headed up by Jim Banks and Jim Jordan. And he said the speaker's panel should investigate Yogananda Pittman, who's the head of intelligence for the Capitol Police. If the sham select committee was serious about seeking justice for January 6th, they would focus on the people that allowed it to happen. Pittman had the intelligence days before January 6th. What stopped her from acting on it? But they're not looking into any of that. They're not asking her. Nancy Pelosi is in charge of the Capitol Police as Speaker of the House. She reportedly rejected requests to dispatch reinforcements from the National Guard 6 times, according to testimony from the former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund. She threw that man under the bus, remember?
Well, I thought you said, no, I didn't.
Oh, well, then you're right. Then she didn't.
See, just like that.
And we're done.
And scene.
Okay. I have been saying, and I've said this to you, I've said that on the podcast, I've said this millions of times, you're going to see a reemergence of COVID before the midterms because the Democrats are going to use it. Oh, this B2 variant, we're going to get a variant, whether it's real or not, we're going to get this variant that springs up, right? And we're going to have to go into lockdown again so that they can have mail-in balloting all over the place and thousands of ballot boxes everywhere, not guarded. Nobody knows who's dropping stuff in them. So we can redo 2020, right? Because they know they're going to get their butts kicked. So because they know they're going to get their butts kicked, I think there's going to be shenanigans before the election. And the way they're going to do it is under the guise of COVID. We'll have another pandemic. It worked so well the first time, we'll do it again. So here we go. Georgetown University and Johns Hopkins. Georgetown, indoor mask requirement goes into effect on Thursday, except if you're eating or drinking or when students or staff are in their personal residences or private office. According to Georgetown's chief public health officer, the measures are in response to a significant increase in COVID-19 cases, mainly among undergraduate students. The masking requirement will remain in place for the foreseeable future. See what's happening? See what's happening? It's exactly what's happening. Have received anti-drug number. Okay, I don't know what this means. All right. Georgetown will also require all undergraduate students to take a PCR test before returning to campus from Easter break. Students who have tested positive within the past 90 days are exempt. At Johns Hopkins, mask requirements. They're gonna test all undergraduate students twice a week. 100 undergraduate students have tested positive for the virus since April 1st. Let me just say,
I want to think
we're
you're
getting all this.
paranoid, but
The
I
gridiron
want
dinner,
to
right?
think.
I think wasn't it the gridiron dinner that everybody went to, and Pelosi's got COVID again, and all these people have COVID. They're all at this gridiron dinner, but all these people have COVID. Instead of, can you imagine if we reported the number of people who got the flu every year? And I'm not saying COVID's the flu, so don't worry, be an nasty no. I'm not saying that, but we should be reporting the number of deaths, not the number of people who have COVID. I don't want percentages, because like at a local hospital here, they have no COVID patients. None. There are no COVID patients in the ICU. There's nobody. But if they get one, that's like 100% increase, right? So you can't do it this way. Right?
We
So
got
you can't.
100% increase now.
Right. We have a lot, but that's what they're going to do. We have to stop reporting the number of people who come up with COVID, and we have to start reporting the number of deaths. I have a friend who was sick, and he's hilarious, and I love him to death. But he's that guy that when he's sick, he's dying. He's absolutely dying. So of course he thinks he has COVID, and he's texted me, what should I take? And I'm trying to help him and everything, because he's single, and trying to help him. And then like 2 days later, said, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? It's better, but it hasn't gone away. I'm like, did you forget what it was like to have the flu before COVID? He's like, I think I should go get tested. I said, and what? You have a sore throat. You don't even have a fever. What does getting tested do for you? Well, then I would know if I had COVID. I'm like, and? Okay, then what? Now what? Okay, so you have COVID. Big deal. Now what? I was invited to an event in New York in the summer. And New York State, New York City, which was sanely liberal and in crazy about COVID. You had to have a passport. You couldn't eat in a restaurant. It was craziness, right?
Yeah.
They don't require vaccine passports anymore. They don't require you to show proof of vaccine to eat in a restaurant anymore, only on Broadway, which Broadway's too expensive for me anyway. You don't have to do that. But this event, even though it's being held in a restaurant that doesn't require a proof of vaccine, in a city that doesn't require it, in a state that doesn't require it, this organization is requiring it. And I really want to go to this event. I really, really do. I was very excited about it until I got the you have to provide proof of vaccination. I got to tell you, I'm not showing my papers. I just refuse to do it because it's dumb. I guess because I'm old, I'm just not jumping through hoops just for the sake of jumping through hoops anymore.
Right.
Like the younger me would have been like, oh, well, and I'll do it. But it's dumb. We know that the vaccine protects the person who has it. They can still spread it and they can still get it. You're just not going to get as bad of a case. That's it. It's a therapeutic. It's not a vaccine. They call it a vaccine, but it's really not. Name me another vaccine where you had to keep getting a booster every 3 months. And even then, you could still get it and you can still spread it. So because of that, I'm not going to go. And I'm really hurting myself because I really want to go to this thing. But I don't know. I just can't do it. And I just don't think the American people put up with this. I just think if they try this again, you're just going to see, it's going to be ugly. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be ugly.
I hope you are.
You hope I'm wrong?
Yeah, I hope you are. Nobody wants to go through this again. And I don't want to see the backlash if it does.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I've had COVID. I have better immunity than everybody who got the vaccine and longer lasting immunity than everybody who got the vaccine. But this country doesn't give credit for that. All the other countries give credit for natural immunity, acquired immunity. This country does not. We totally ignore the science. And I am just too stinking old to do dumb stuff just because somebody with power says you have to jump. Like,
well, we're Americans. That's built in our DNA.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm surprised at the number of Americans who do it. They're like, oh, just show it. What's wrong with you? Just be quiet and do it. You really want to go? Just show it. I'm like, no. So I'm not doing it. I'm very upset, but it is what it is. I've seen events where the people are having, parties, baby showers or whatever, proof of vaccination. I'm like, if I need proof of vaccination to give your offspring a gift, which is basically 2 wedding gifts, because, the days of a shower being like kitchen utensils and things like that are long gone. Now you got to pony up like a set of china. It's like the same as a wedding gift now. It's 2 wedding gifts, and every woman gets invited to go because apparently we all just give gifts, because you're a woman, you should do proof of vaccination. I'm like, no.
I think you just
To
gave
do
me a
a
reason
shower?
not to spend $200. Thanks.
No, you're still expected to present a gift, but I don't present up, getting like a $50 gift because I'm not getting drinks out of it or food or anything else.
Wait, you still have to give a gift and not go?
Oh yeah. Women have to give 2 gifts. You don't understand it's such a racket. And I believe if you live together before you get married, you have some balls having a shower because you got everything. What is Mark saying? My girlfriend and daughter came up positive. I never did. I'll tell you, I wanted to get it. I was like, I want to get it over with. And now I've got natural immunity. Go ahead. Spit on me. I'm good. Cough in my face. I have superpowers.
Yeah.
All right. A little bit about Hunter Biden. There's been a lot coming out. Have you noticed? And we've talked about it last week with the New York Times and the Washington Post finally coming out and saying something. So there's a guy, according to the Daily Mail, his name is Jack Maxey. And he is the source that distributed Hunter Biden's laptop to congressmen and the media. He has fled the United States to Switzerland, saying he fears retaliation from the Biden administration. He gave the Daily Mail a copy of the hard drive from Hunter Biden's laptop in the spring of last year, spring of 2021. He also gave copies and material from it to the Washington Post, the New York Times, and Senator Chuck Grassley, because he is the ranking Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So he now, as I said, has fled to Switzerland. He's been hiding in Zurich, working with IT experts to dig out more data from the laptop from hell. He used to co-host The War Room with Steve Bannon, that podcast.
Right.
He claims he and his colleagues have found 450 gigabytes of deleted material, including 80,000 images and videos and more than 120,000 archived emails. He says he intends to post them all online in a searchable database in the coming weeks. So he left his laptop in Delaware at that store.
Yeah.
John Mac Isaac. That John Mac Isaac gave a copy of it to Rudy Giuliani, who then passed it on to this guy Maxey. Okay. He told the Daily Mail, I came here, meaning Switzerland, so we could do a forensic examination of Hunter Biden's laptop safely in a country that still respects human liberty and the ideals of liberal democratic principles. He said, after contacting the Daily Mail about the laptop last year, black suburban SUVs appeared outside his home, and former U.S. intelligence officer friends he shared copies with told him that they received strange phone calls. These are former intelligence people. I showed this to a friend of mine in desperation in February 21 because nobody would listen to me. No news organizations would take it. Every major news organization, in fact, the very first major news organization to take it was the Daily Mail. Very dear friends of mine, the sharp tip of the spear, were making welfare calls to me every day to see if I was still alive.
Wow.
He claims one former intelligence agency senior staffer told him soon after he received the hard drive in 2020, if you don't release enough of this so that they know you can release all of it, I'm telling you, brother, you're a dead man.
Wow.
So in October 2020, he posted batches of emails and other files from the laptop on file sharing sites, but after an hour, the links were taken down. He believes the U.S. government was hunting down the files from the laptop posted online and flagged them to the companies. There were 5 Dropboxes, 2 in the U.S., 1 in New Zealand, 2 in the U.K., all the same Dropboxes in which they tell us child porn is shared around the globe without any consequences because we can't look at it. But yet they found his emails. and took them down. These are all Five Eyes countries, English-speaking countries in an intelligence sharing agreement, and they were all ripped down. So this means that our intelligence services, who have still not even acknowledged that they have Hunter Biden's laptop, were obviously diligently doing cache searches across the internet to find out if any of this stuff was being released. You're not permitted to vote. I got the boost back for J&J vaccine. Fool me once, not twice. So he said, this should terrify every single decent person in the West. Now, the Daily Mail says they've been unable to verify any of his claims. He said, Switzerland, he's there because the only file sharing site that did not take down the laptop files was Swiss Transfer. So that's why he's in Switzerland. He said the FBI had the laptop on the 9th of December of 2019. And he says that they've been trained. He said the FBI had this on the 9th of December of 2019. The first person betrayed was a sitting U.S. president in an impeachment hearing when the FBI had the exculpatory evidence in their hands, and to have that end instantly, they did nothing. The second group of people to be betrayed were all of the Democratic candidates in the spring primaries that year, because honestly, if this had come out, Joe Biden wouldn't have been running for president. So he took that away from the other candidates. The American people were utterly betrayed because I guarantee you that Joe Biden couldn't run for dog catcher if the American people knew about this laptop. He also said, I have a lot of admiration for Chuck Grassley, or at least I did. And he says that he wrote a very reasoned letter, respectful letter to Chuck Grassley, delivered a copy of the laptop that had arrived on the 8th of July. I have the signed receipts, and I never heard a word back from the Senate Judiciary Committee. And a spokesperson for Grassley said, well, we had to have it verified. We couldn't just go public with it because we didn't know if it was legit, which I understand. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So I have some audio here.
You people should have been scared long before this if you weren't already, but yeah.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
should be nervous.
All right, so I want to share this. Quickly share screen. Okay. So this is the University of Chicago's Institute of Politics was having a forum with Anne Applebaum from The Atlantic. She's very left-wing, and The Atlantic being a left-leaning publication. So now we've got the New York Times and the Washington Post that basically file the same story and both say, well, yeah, buried down in the story, the laptop was real. Now we know that the emails were real. So they're starting to come around. So she was asked by a student about the laptop and about what does she think about the laptop now that these other two outlets have come around. So this is a University of Chicago student. Listen to what he asks and listen to this response.
Let's take a.
So amazing. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. I'm Daniel Schmidt. I'm a freshman at the University of Chicago. My question is for Ms. Applebaum. So in 2020, you wrote, those who live outside the Fox News bubble do not, of course, need to learn any of the stuff about Hunter Biden, referring to his laptop, of course. A poll later after that found that if voters knew about the content of the laptop, 16% of Joe Biden voters would have acted differently. Now, of course, we know a few weeks ago, the New York Times confirmed that the content is real. Do you think the media acted inappropriately when they instantly dismissed Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation? And what can we learn from that in ensuring that what we label as disinformation is truly disinformation and not reality?
I mean, my problem with Hunter Biden's laptop is I think it's totally irrelevant. I mean, it's not whether it's disinformation or, I mean, I don't think the Hunter Biden's business relationships have anything to do with who should be president of the United States. So I don't find it to be interesting. I mean, that would be my problem with that as a major news story.
Huh.
We're going to talk about more of this tomorrow in our first
David
panel,
Axelrod.
so.
We're gonna talk more about this later.
So I'm betting. I don't know her, so I can't speak for her. But I'm betting that if the next question was, tell me, what do you think of the idea that Trump Jr. was stealing money from blah blah charity? Wow, that just shows you that Trump Probably. Am I right? I mean, do you think that would be the answer, just based on who she is?
Do you
I don't
remember?
know, because I don't know her, so I could be assuming, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she would have the same sentiment and say, I don't think that Donald Trump Jr.'s actions reflect on Donald Trump Sr. at all. You should not be speaking of the 45th president in a way reflecting of his children. I don't think, though, that she has that enlightened perspective about Donald Trump.
No. Do you remember when Don Jr. took a meeting with there were 4 other people in the lobby of the Trump Hotel with a Russian? Remember? And it wound up being about Russian adoption. Remember?
Yeah.
And they're like, and after 20 minutes, they ended the meeting. That was it. There was an entire investigation. There was clutching of pearls. Mika Brzezinski was fainting because of it. Remember that? We need to know what they talked about. We need the records for that meeting. Blah, 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 blah. We need. But it's just not interesting. Really. It's just not. Laura is trying to watch, but it keeps cutting out. She's watching on Facebook. Try YouTube, Laura, because I know Scott's watching on Facebook, but Bill is watching on Theater. Bill and Mark are watching on YouTube. So try YouTube, maybe. But she says the thunderstorms are bad there. But yeah, I just thought it was just so funny because that was just ridiculous. Also, very quickly, it turns out. Whatever you're, it's very loud. Whatever you're doing. So it turns out that Joe Biden. Remember when Joe Biden? That's very loud. What are you doing, James? James, that's very loud. What are you doing?
I had to fix that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. It was very loud. Okay. Anyway. So remember Joe Biden said, well, during when he was a candidate, that he had released his tax returns with a historic level of transparency. Well, the truth is that he only released his individual returns. Those returns provide no detail regarding the source of most of his income because he and his wife have S corporations set up so that it's not counted as income. And they didn't release those records. Oops. So, and this is from the Federalist, and I don't have the author's name, but it's called "Did Joe Biden's Millions Really Come from His Book Sales?" So just before the election, USA Today published a fact check piece that attempted to support that the Bidens earned $15.6 million from speaking fees and book deals in 2017 through 2019. And more than $10 million of that total income was profits from Biden's book, Promise Me Dad, and $3 million was from Jill's books. So when they provide a link, if you click the link for the 10 million of where that came from takes you to Joe Biden's campaign website with only financial returns for their personal income, not the S corps. And we're back. Hi, Drew. Drew's a really good friend. Hi, Drew. Linnea's watching on Facebook, and it's fine. I'm watching on Facebook. It's fine. Okay. Ooh, very nice, Bill. Thank you. Okay. So the financial disclosure links for 16, 17, and 18 have been changed when you go to the links for that, and it takes you to the DNC's committee fundraising site, Act Blue, rather than the tax documents. So you can't get them. Okay. So now they ran the numbers. I'm going to skip forward to that. We're told that Joe made $12.2 million after expenses for a book that sold 300,000 copies. If you exclude the $4.2 million earned from touring and speaking, take that out, you just go by book sales, that's $8 million of income from book royalties. His book had a retail price of $27 for hardcover, $18 for paperback. And if you assume, they did a mix of paperback and hardcover, and they came up with the average price being about $23 with no discounts, no Barnes & Noble when they put it on the sale rack. None of that. It's not in Costco. On 300,000 books sold, gross revenues would have just been under $7 million. Okay.
To you, Mark.
Bye, Mark. See ya. Thank you. Bye, Mark. Okay, thanks. Okay, so that comes up to $7 million. Joe would have received about 12% of that using a blended royalty rate for hardcover, and you get less for soft cover, that type of thing. That's about 800,000 in income. You can round that up to $1 million. If you double it, it's still not even close to 8 million. So the numbers don't add up. But we don't know. So they're like, oh yeah, all the transparency because Donald Trump won't release his tax returns. Neither did Joe Biden. That's the bottom line here. Neither did Joe Biden.
Done.
So, what is this? This is okay. Just very quickly, I just want to go through some stuff very quick. I lost some of this. Hold on. I had some. I wonder if it got lost, or hubby might have recycled it because I told. No, here we go. Okay, just very quickly, some immigration stuff, and then we'll do some stories. Leaked Department of Homeland Security plan that was published this week shows that senior officials were being told that the removal of Title 42 would lead to an increase in illegal immigration. And one way to respond to the increase is just to release everybody into the U.S. interior, because they had to come up with a plan. Joe Biden said, I'm directing my officials to create a framework to address the causes of immigration. Remember, we were going to do that?
Yo, sure. They're right on.
We're going to do that. and to manage migration, in addition to providing safe and orderly processing of illegal immigrants claiming asylum once they cross into the United States. So this plan anticipates the eventual recession of Title 42. And they admit that that's going to cause a surge in irregular immigration and have a direct impact to short-term holding and processing capacities. So they're just going to release them.
Regular immigration now?
Irregular.
I like that.
Because they're not illegal. I just thought that's how everybody got here now, right? You just take a boat or get on a cargo container from wherever you get into like Central America and you walk in, right?
Sure.
I thought that's how it goes. James, the numbers add up if you use Common Core math.
Yeah, solid.
James has a very wicked sense of humor. He cracks me up. As many as 450,000 illegal aliens could arrive in a 30-day period, according to one of their planning scenarios in the contingency plan. That could lead to multiple surges of 10 to 20,000 immigrants hitting different locations at the same time. DHS says that their ways to remove illegal immigrants will be limited. They're only limited because you don't enact the law. Like if you stop them from coming, this wouldn't be a problem, but they don't stop them from coming. So they only have, so
and they don't Foreign Legion. So I'm just saying.
Using broad scale, they're going to use broad scale. Because of this, they have to use broad scale release mechanisms like issuing notices to appear in court. So they get a notice that says, look, keep this wherever you settle. You give us a call. Let us know where you are. Just go down to town when you get a chance, go to Borough Hall or whatever, report, let them know you're here so they can keep track of you. Or they just release them without a court notice. See, exactly. And did you see they're giving them these phones, and the Biden administration is giving them the phones at taxpayer expense that's going to track them so we know where they are?
Oh, so that's not phone. I just got to jump the fence?
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. We're going to give them the phone, but they think that it's never dawned on these people that they're just going to ditch the phone, right?
Right.
If you don't want to be found, if you're coming across the border, because it's 115 different countries have people coming across the border. Everybody thinks they're all Mexicans. There's people coming from the Middle East. There's people coming from Africa. There's people coming all of China, all over the world, coming in our southern border. And a lot of them don't want to be found.
Oh, so now you know what my next arrest story is going to be. It's going to be like, yeah, I was using one of those phones I found on the ground from the border. I was like, and these things were great. And the next thing you know, like I just showed up at my house and days. I'm like, oh, it's a free phone.
So that's what they're going to do. And Drew has a good, they're invest in Texas bus lines. They're going to start running express to DC. I love that idea. I don't know if Abbott's really going to do this, but I love the idea of putting these people. Here's the problem. The bus has got to stop somewhere between Texas and DC. They need a bathroom break. Those people are going to go off that bus and run. They're not going to DC. they're going to off the bus and run. That bus will be fully loaded, and it's going to be half loaded by the time they get to Washington. So,
Well, I mean, he wants them out of Texas. So, in fairness, he's still going to win.
yeah, but we all lose. They should go to D.C. I love that idea. And I think DeSantis is sending them to Delaware. So I love that too. Okay, last bit of news here. Obama's campaign manager predicted how many votes Biden needed to win in Wisconsin. David Fluff. And he, because of that, Mark Zuckerberg knew where to send the money in Wisconsin, which districts to send the money to in order to get the vote. So it's a big story. I'm not going to get into it, but just watch this whole Zuckerbucks thing. He influenced the election in 2020 in a large way. And from what I understand, you're supposed to distribute the money equally, and he didn't. And it was all about getting out the vote in Democrat counties and Democrat areas. And I think something's going to come of this. Hold on.
Mark Zuckerberg is a philanthropist. Wow, I can't even.
Philanthropist.
I work in the media for a living too, and he cares about humanity and wants to save the world. I can't believe you think he would be working against somebody in an election. He is for all mankind.
Yes, imagine that. Imagine that.
Great face too.
All right, I want to share this with you. This also has to do with elections. Now, this is Senator Ted Cruz speaking to a nominee to the FEC. Her name is Dara Lindenbaum. She is Joe Biden's pick to serve on the Federal Election Commission. Now, in November of 2018, she was an election lawyer, and she signed on to a federal legal complaint on behalf of Stacey Abrams' Fair Fight Action. The complaint challenged the constitutionality of Georgia's 2018 election. Remember, Stacey Abrams told us that it wasn't a fair fight, and it wasn't a fair election, and the election was rigged, and she wasn't going to concede. Remember all of that?
I do.
Okay. All right. And then you have Raphael Warnock's Ebenezer Baptist Church joined the suit in early 2019, just before he entered the Senate race in 2020. According to their complaint, and this woman that you see on the screen was one of the lawyers who filed it, the state of Georgia grossly mismanaged the election by depriving Georgia citizens, and particularly citizens of color, of their fundamental right to vote. As a result, the complaint says Georgia's election violated the First, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution. The complaint also says that the use of insecure and unreliable electronic voting machines that lacked a paper trail and thus cannot be audited, and those machines even switched votes from Abrams to Kemp, according to the complaint. Now, because, wow, the Democrats are saying that Georgia's voting machines are rigged and that they change votes and that there's no paper trail. That sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound like a lot of the complaints that the Republicans have about what happened in Georgia, like Fulton County? Doesn't that sound familiar?
You might have
It can't be audited. Well, because it sounds so eerily familiar, in December of 2020, they amended the complaint to remove the assertions about the voting machines. Suddenly, we don't care about those voting machines anymore. It's not the voting machines. So this woman, 3 years, she signed that complaint 3 years ago, and now Biden has nominated her to serve on the Federal Election Commission. It's a regulatory agency for America's elections. And here she is challenging the veracity of the elections, but then she switches it up. And if confirmed, she is going to replace, she's far left, she's going to replace an independent on the commission. And she is still involved in this lawsuit, okay? She's still an attorney for it. So now you have the background. Listen to this exchange between Ted Cruz and this attorney election lawyer, Dara Lindenbaum.
So, but as an officer of the court, you were willing to put your name on a legal pleading alleging that the machines used in Georgia in 2018 were switching votes illegally from one candidate to another. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, but as an officer of the court, you were willing to put your name on a legal pleading alleging that the machines used in Georgia.
Okay, so it just plays again. So that's it. So she alleged that the machines were illegally switching votes from one candidate to another. She said yes, but at the same time, she's a far left Democrat, and they don't believe that any of that happened. They say that that stuff didn't happen. So she has no business being on the FEC. Obviously, she's so far left. Am I wrong?
Seems challenging.
That's it. Seems challenging.
You like that?
All right. So before we go, if you're here early in the show, you get a lot of my stories about the insanity of trying to get into the seat. We almost didn't do the show tonight because I was like up to here with it all. And if you weren't here in the beginning of the show, my cushions came. They're in boxes right there. They haven't been opened yet. We're going to open them after the show. But they came in less than a week. I ordered them Friday and they showed up today. I mean, like, that's crazy. If you're looking for cushions, I'm telling you, Pillow Perfect, pillowperfect.com. They're in Georgia. Super, super, super nice. Great customer service. They wrote back to me. Like, they're fantastic. So far, so good. If I have a problem with the cushions, we'll see how great their customer service is. But so far, so good. I will say that.
I like that.
Now, James, you said you had a story to go out with here.
Oh, I mean,
go out with
the most fascinating thing in the world right now, and I think your husband would probably check in with this concept, is the modern medical system.
Well, you're always in it. You'd think to God you would have better insurance because you live in the medical system.
You would think so. So I've had to get testing supplies for myself for my sugar, which is I found out a few months ago around Thanksgiving that was high. So through a series of doctors, yada yada, I go, whatever. The whole thing, I have to change my insurance for my doctor. It's just, medical nonsense, how insurance companies change you. You're tier 2 now, and that bill is like, ended up being like $400 by the time I figured out that it wasn't because of my testing, that it was the doctor becoming tier 2. That's a $400 a couple bills later.
Yep.
Yada yada. Now I go with a bigger company. So now I'm with this bigger company, and everything should be easy, right? So you would think I would get this stuff at my pharmacy where it is in plentiful supply, but they're like, no, you have to get it from some other brokered company, which is fine. The company's like, we have it. So a few weeks go by, nothing happens. I call them. They're like, yeah, we're just waiting for something from your doctor's office. They probably have to get something to your insurance company. Finally, the woman calls me and goes, hey, it's a real simple thing. It's a coding thing. We can't even you can't call your doctor. Through the coding specialists, they coded something wrong on your diagnosis. So it's just whether you're type 1 or type 2 diabetes and whether you need to test 2 times a day or 3 times a day. They got to fix the coding so the insurance company can send this stuff to us and then yada yada. So I call up the office and I'm like, hey, this is the problem. And they're like, okay. Week later, she's like, hey, they didn't fix anything. And I'm like, oh. So I called and I'm like, can we have this problem fixed, so I can test my blood and not, like die or stroke out or whatever it is. I don't know anything about this thing, but I know I'm supposed to be testing stuff and not eating sugar like an adult. So that goes by, another week. Hey, they still haven't sent it. So I'm like, meanwhile, I'm a really busy person who drives 50 plus miles to work every day, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, with 2 jobs plus running multiple podcasts and being, that kind of stuff. I have a lot of things going on in my life. So then I decide, well, now I'm going to have to go in there. So I go into the office and I sit down and we have a phone conference. And I'm
sit in the office, doctor's office or insurance?
Into the doctor's office, right?
Okay.
And I go,
okay.
I call the woman on the phone that I need and she sets me up with the right person at that office. And I'm like, what do your people need here? Here's the woman. Can you say it on? And she types it into the thing. I don't know why this hasn't been done. It seems very simple. I'll get it right to the coding people. Let's put it on record, yada, 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 right? I leave there thinking, this can't be, an issue, right? 1 week later, I get a phone call. Hey, we're still missing your thing.
Oh.
So I call up and blast this company, right? And they're like, I think the blasting the company. Now you think we're probably going in 7 weeks now. It's going to take care of this problem. Nay. Today, I had to go in and pull an office manager and go, I'm going to very calmly and politely just say that thankfully I'm not a person who throws around words like malpractice and lawsuits, because I'm already in a lawsuit over my car. So here's all I'm going to ask you to do. And I showed her my phone and I said, you'll see the notes in the computer. Can you just go in the back and find out whoever this TikTok is and just go take care of this while I wait? Make sure it's done before I leave the building. And then this will all be over. Because we're now 8 weeks in and I haven't tested my blood sugar ever.
Oh my God.
She's like, I'll take care of this immediately. And to her credit, it was done.
But
how many's 8? 8.
Yeah.
I had to go 8 weeks. 8. And this is I'm not naming them out of politeness, a massive, massive company that you see things for on TV.
The insurance company. The insurance company is.
The medicine, the doctor's company.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So it's that.
Yeah. Well, see, the problem is a lot of these massive doctor practices are owned by hospitals.
Yeah.
And all the stuff falls through the cracks now, because I'll tell you, my husband's practice was bought by the hospital, and the office manager can't work here anymore because her husband was one of the guys in the practice, so that's nepotism, so she can't brother. But she's been running the practice beautifully for 30 years, right? Nope, she can't do that anymore. They fire people and the office the hospital takes over billing, so they fire people in the office. So now it's a huge conglomerate. It was before you're like, oh sure, let me go talk to Sue in the back and get it done. You can't do that anymore because the hospitals are buying everything. So it's a problem. Hand surgery, orthopedics. I'm having hand surgery a week from Friday. Saw surgeon Monday this week. Boom, schedule. Can't wait. Right in the middle of our because that's right. Poor Linnea is living in the middle. I've got to talk to Linnea. I got to talk to her about hand surgery. I've had that too. So I've had pretty much surgery everywhere. I will say we got the bill from Montana for medical on the mountain.
Yeah.
And I will say the immobilizer that I'm in and my crutches, $186.
Ooh.
That's it.
Not bad at all.
I don't think that was bad at all. Bill said he was surprised we didn't talk about the BLM mansion. I kind of thought everybody had heard that story. I thought that was a pretty well-known story. That's why we didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to say one other thing. I talked to Rhoda. She's all ready for Passover. So they're having it at her apartment, which she didn't want to do, but she's doing, despite her not wanting to do it. And I will tell you, I'm reading Thomas Sowell's book, Black Rednecks, White Liberals.
Okay.
And my friends Terry and Frank sent it to me. They're the ones who sent me this one, the real Anthony Fauci. They sent this as well.
Right.
So I started with the Thomas Sowell book. It's really, I've learned so much, but Thomas Sowell is not a light read. It's not a read that you sit through and bang out a couple of chapters. I actually have to keep my phone so I can look up words that he uses that are just, he uses big words when he could use less, like more common words for stuff. And I find he throws words in that you don't necessarily need, but the concept of the book and what he talks about is fascinating, about history and where we are in America and how we got here and cultural differences and where they came from, and fascinating. So I'm enjoying the book, so I highly recommend it, but it's not a quick read, and it's not a light read. I'll put it that way, but fascinating.
Nice.
So that's it. All right. Bye, Art. See ya. We're getting out of here too. So Rhoda's doing well. Next week, today is 5 weeks since I broke my leg. Next week is 6, and I go to the doctor on Friday, hopefully getting it off, hopefully getting out of my brace. We'll see. So I'm going to go open up the cushions, go see what they look like.
Enjoy that.
Hopefully next week. Bye, Michael. Hopefully next week. Now listen, if you tune in early, next Thursday, or right when we start, you get to see all of the the problems with technology that we have. It takes us like 5 minutes to get it together. And I may have some surprises because I do have someone who is willing to do some new graphics for us.
Ooh, love that.
Yes.
And, singing lifeguard next door here says hello.
Oh, hello, singing lifeguard. We should have him come in and sing once on our show.
We should definitely do that.
See if he'll do that for us. Maybe we'll do that next week, or maybe we'll do it for like a holiday or something.
I think he would. I
Okay,
hope
that would be great. That would be fantastic. All right, everybody. Next Thursday, 7:15. Hopefully, we will both be here. Hopefully, we will have worked out all the problems with the audio and everything else, and hopefully, James will be in the seat on time. And that's it. So, have a good one. Bye, everybody. Hold on. Oh, I didn't get this ready. Oh, hold on. I do this every year. I always forget to get this ready. Okay, there we go.